Welcome back and Merry Christmas to all of you. I had a wonderful question from a new student yesterday and I wanted to share it with you. He said, I'm so sincere about learning this technique and embracing this path that you are presenting. And I just want to make sure that I can handle the commitment. I have a family, I have two kids, I have a job, I have a lot of responsibilities. How much time am I going to need to commit to this for it to be a responsible pursuit for myself? And I love it. It's such a wonderful question. And so I wanted to present this idea of how much time do I need to meditate each day. I wanted to present it to you in tiers. And then I want to talk about how we self regulate within my lineage when it comes to the amount of kriyas or the amount of technique that you're going to do in meditation. This is really important because if we don't understand this, we will begin to divide ourselves, and that's not good. We want to stay aligned within ourselves in our yogic practice. So let's get into it. So first of all, we need to set our limit. We need to set our bare minimum. And I have a wonderful video that I'm very proud of this video because it's very confirming for a lot of yogis, and I just love that. And so it's called Spiritual Survival. So if you like, you can go and watch that. But the idea is very simple. I'm going to set my minimum, let's say it's 5 minutes a day, and I'm going to establish that habit of 5 minutes every day. Maybe it's 5 minutes in the morning or 5 minutes in the evening. Or maybe my life is, I've got so many commitments that I need to find the perfect time for me, and it's not exactly in the morning or evening. That's just fine. Find your time, put your 5 minute minimum, or maybe you're going to establish a 10 minute minimum. That's fine as well, but keep it really nice and short, something really easy that you feel you can do that every single day. And that habit, establishing that habit of 5 minutes every day, I am more impressed by that than if you go for 1 week and every day you meditate 2 or 3 hours, because that's just 1 week. What about the month? What about the next month? What about the year? That's what I'm really impressed with. And that's the daily habit. And that's why 5 minutes a day is more important than a bunch of hours in a short little spurt that burns you out and uses up all the fuel of your love and your desire for meditation. So establish that little habit. And then on top of that habit, you start to grow your love for it. So I present a lot of tools in this channel, right? Heart rate variability resonance, sitting very still, feeling the four proofs, getting into the breath states perhaps, feeling the freeze response. All of these will set you up to make this whole journey of meditation so easy. Oh my goodness, I wish I had so many tools. And here you have this smorgasbord of tools at your disposal, and you can use those to embrace this path, and it easily grows your love for it. You sit down for 5 minutes, you get some good results, you get some of those four proofs that establishes that you are awakening the dorsal parasympathetic, the healing system inside of your nervous system. You're awakening that. You see the proof of it. You get this biofeedback. It lifts you up. You feel so good. I did it. I did it. Oh my goodness, I have a proof inside of myself. And that just catapults you into the next realm, doesn't it? Because you have the proof. It's just amazing. All right. So that sets you up for success very easily. And so it's very easy after, just those 5 minutes that you start to grow your love for it. And I can do 10 minutes. This is so good. I'm going to go for 15 minutes. I'm going to go for 20. that is a beautiful practice because it's coming from here, you see? It's coming from your heart. It's coming from your desire for it. You're not forcing yourself. You're not shoulding on yourself. Well, I should be meditating this amount each day. Don't do that because you'll see why. So we'll get into that. Set your minimum and then grow your love. So the first tier, we can think about this in tiers. The first tier of meditation is to set that minimum. And come hell or high water, I will set that minimum for myself, and I will sit for 5 minutes, even if I've got to sneak it in on a potty break. You know, I'm gonna sneak that 5 minutes into my day and establish that habit. And then you have this spiritual survival inside of you. Come hell or high water, I can rely on myself to practice 5 minutes of heart rate variability resonance. I've got the resonant breathing app on my phone. I set it for 5 minutes. Boom, bada bing, I'm done. I did my meditation every single day. I'm establishing that habit. And Forrest says that habit's more impressive than hours of meditation. So you're already a champion when you do that, you see. Okay, second tier. Now we're getting into the love of the meditation, right? So maybe that's 20 minutes or more, right? We can set a second tier of 20 minutes to an hour. We're growing our love and we start to get into the second tier where I can sit and feel really good in heart rate variability resonance and the establishing the four proofs, noticing the parasympathetic awakening inside of me, this cool, refreshing, healing nervous system is coming online. I've been stressed out. I've been manic. I've been working myself to death. I've been, worried about all my responsibilities. And now I'm just, I'm getting into that nice parasympathetic system. And I'm feeling so right and so peaceful. And so it's very easy to go for 20 minutes in that state. I do some of the heart rate variability resonant breathing. I begin to notice the proofs and I just sit and I enjoy that deep relaxation for a few minutes. Before I know it, 20 minutes has gone by easily. So now we're in the second tier and maybe we slowly grow that into an hour really feeling and soaking up those proofs. Maybe we go for a short stint, maybe 5 or 10 minutes, and then we take a break. Maybe we stretch a little bit and we come back and we do a little bit more. I would still say that's within the second tier of 20 minutes to an hour in your whole day of meditation. That's that second tier. That's a really, really good practice. When you start getting into that, that is a wonderful practice. Now, the third tier, we really want to establish the skills that I'm talking about. So I've talked about this before, time versus skill. I'm much more interested in your skills as a yogi. Are you able to establish heart rate variability resonance? Can you do that very easily and quickly? Can you sit very still? Now, sitting very still, it really has to do with the chest mostly. And so one of the things that will help you with that is to learn to breathe low in the diaphragm, to breathe down low in your belly. The more that you can do that, the easier it is for the chest to sit very still. Of course, you want your limbs and your hands to sit very still. Some practices we're counting on beads. And if you can shut that down for a little bit. So take a little break from that and just sit very still. And notice what it does to you. Notice what the heart rate variability resonance plus the sitting very still makes the freeze response happen very quickly, especially when you're breathing very low in the diaphragm. We don't want to breathe up here in the chest and raise our clavicles with every breath, right? Raise our shoulders with every breath. We don't want that. We want to breathe nice and low in the diaphragm. That will set you up for success with the freeze response. And the freeze response, getting even a little bit of that, and the heart rate variability resonance, pretty soon you might notice the tranquil breath. And the tranquil breath is this very low breath rate. So if you see somebody that's asleep and you look at them and you're noticing their breath. And sometimes you'll notice that, oh my goodness, I can't even tell that they're breathing because they're breathing so shallow. Now, maybe they didn't have a big meal before they went to sleep, because if you have a big meal before you go to sleep or before you meditate, of course, it's going to raise your breath rate, right? So if you fast before you sleep and you fast a little bit before you meditate, 3, 6, 12, 16 hours before you meditate, of course, that meditation in particular will be deeper because the body is not working as much. And so it has an easier time settling down. Common sense, right? When you notice that person sleeping and you can barely notice their breath, that's it. That's the tranquil breath. They're in it. So you probably encounter this tranquil breath every single night. You probably encounter it in your sleep and you didn't know it. It's just this very restful breath, which is very shallow and usually quick in the beginning, but it's a very shallow breath that happens spontaneously and automatically. It's very shallow, it's very quick, and then later, as we get into the heart rate variability resonance and the parasympathetic system and the freeze response, we might notice that the tranquil breath is shallow and a little bit long. And then we keep going in the heart rate variability resonance and the freeze response and the sitting very still. We soak these into our mind and into our body. As we soak them into our body, we soak them into our mind. It's a reflexive process. The body goes into the low idle state, and so the mind begins to go into the low idle state automatically. That's the beauty of meditation and yoga. And so as we deepen in all of that, the freeze response comes on more deeply. The parasympathetic awakens more deeply. And suddenly we notice that the tranquil breath is not only shallow, but very, very long. And it gets so long that we begin losing track of the breath. Where is that breath? Where did it go? Well, it's just so long, you're losing track of it. That is beautiful. So all of that comes online. All of that begins to come online. And it's the freeze response and the tranquil breath that makes the meditation so enjoyable. The proofs, the parasympathetic system coming online becomes so enjoyable. That's what makes it possible for the yogi to sit very still in meditation for an hour or an hour and a half. So now you're going past the second tier. You're entering this third tier, and it's not because you forced yourself, I'm going to sit there and meditate. No, no. The skill grew so big that you passed up the second tier, and now you're in the third tier, and you're going for an hour and a half. You're going for 2 hours, maybe some yogis will go for 3 hours in one stint. It doesn't really matter. What matters is the parasympathetic system is coming online. The freeze response is coming online. The tranquil breath is coming online. And you feel so good that you don't even notice that time. Time becomes irrelevant to you because now you're touching on the right brain and time just disappears. Time is a process of the left brain. The memory remembers and gives you the feeling, the sense of time. So you're sitting at work and you're like, I think an hour went by, right? And you look at the clock and an hour went by. That memory inside of you is giving you the sense of time. And as you fade from that and you begin to touch on the right brain, the guardian angel brain inside of you, the guardian that is looking over you and has a very different view of your life, time disappears. So I see these yogis who are, oh, I'm so about the time. I got a time. I gotta do all this time. And for the really deep yogi, time is irrelevant. It doesn't matter. It's the skill. It's the enjoyment of the parasympathetic system. So you start getting really deep in that, and you're like, I think I want to go more, and you just go more very, very easily because you lose time, and you're in the freeze response, and you're in the tranquil breath, and you're in the parasympathetic system. You're feeling so blissed out that it becomes, oh, How long was that? I was meditating for 2 hours. It felt like 5 minutes. It Time becomes irrelevant to you. And that's the third tier. And that's a very, very, very deep practice. So now we have 3 tiers, right? Now, what about dividing against yourself, right? I warn against that. So within my own lineage of Kriya Yoga, Ashok ji, he told me, do 12 Kriya, so that's 12 breaths, which would be akin to 12 heart rate variability resonant breathing breaths, very long breaths, right? If I was doing a low rate and I did some very long breaths, that would be akin to what he was asking me to do. And so I did 12 Kriya. He says, do 12 Kriya and then check yourself. Are you still here? Are you still interested in what you are doing? Is your heart still in the meditative practice? Or are you way out somewhere in your day, wandering around, thinking about all the things I have to do? Oh my God, I have to do this, and I have to do this, and I have to do this. Where are you? Where is your heart? Where's your interest? He said, if you're still here, if you are still interested, if your heart is still into your practice, go ahead and do another 12 Kriya. If your heart is not in it and you're totally somewhere else, he's not talking about a wandering mind. We all might have wandering minds where we wander off into something and then we come back and our interest is still there, right? We come back to our practice and our interest is still here. I can come back to the long breath, right? Om japa in the chakras. And my interest is still here. But if I do that, I'm like, I'm not really interested. I have all these things I've got to do today. He said, when that happens, get up and go do what you need to do. And then come back the next day or maybe a few hours later and see if your interest is back. See if you can sit here and do 12 Kriya and your interest is there, and then you feel like doing 12 more Kriya, 12 more breaths. Is your interest still there? Yes, my interest and my heart and my desire, it's still here. Go ahead and do another 12. And that is how, within my lineage, we would self-regulate our practice. And if you don't do this, your mind is everywhere else constantly. I'm not talking about a wandering mind. This is different. This is your interest. If your interest is somewhere else, but you're like, well, I have to meditate. I should be meditating this amount of time. But your interest is not there. What's happening now is you are dividing yourself. Your skill level and your interest is only so high, and you're pushing yourself past that, right? You're like, I should be meditating this amount because everybody says I should be meditating this amount. But you have bypassed your skill level and your own interest. And so now you're a house divided. And a house divided cannot stand, right? Not for long. And so eventually the practice will fall apart. And I have met wonderful yogis that have learned to hate their own practice because they divided themselves this way. So this is a very, very important principle. You don't want to divide yourself. You don't want to should on yourself so much in your spiritual practice or your meditation, especially, that you begin to divide. You want to come into all of these things out of love and skill. And that's why I present so much skill, and I hope it's very inspiring and it brings your heart into it. And that's how you stay aligned in your meditative practice. You stay together inside of your own house, right? So here's my skill. I have the heart rate variability resonance. I have the sitting very still. I'm feeling some of that freeze response. And I think I even saw the tranquil breath. Oh my God. That's your skill, right? I'm feeling the 4 proofs. This is amazing. All I got was hands hot and heavy. That's my skill. Oh my God, this is amazing. And that will raise up your meditation, and then your interest will come. And so now you keep your interest is there. And so you're staying with your meditation, and you don't go past that. You don't should on yourself. And so begin to unravel your practice. You don't want to do that. All right? I hope that makes sense. It's a really important principle because otherwise, I become the remedial teacher for people who should on themselves so much that they become a house divided and you say, I love Kriya, but I hate Kriya. Oh my God, you don't want that problem, right? This is how you avoid that trap. It's a huge yogic trap. So you hear all of these yogis. I hear it all. I get it all the time. I should be meditating this much. I should. You don't want that. Okay? Those are people who are trying to beat their head against the wall because they don't understand the skill enough that they can enculture the skill inside of themselves and grow their love and grow their appreciation for the parasympathetic system and grow their appreciation for heart rate variability resonance and the Om Japa in the chakras. It's amazing. It's glorious. And you just love it. You play with it and you love it and it works and you realize it works and it just grows your love for it and your practice just bubbles up. It's so easy and so natural. And even when it's bubbling up and everything's working right, you're still going to have responsibility. Oh my God, my kid needs this. And oh my God, my wife needs this. Oh my God, my husband needs this. And I have to go. And absence makes the heart grow fonder. When you go and do your responsibility, you come back to your meditation, you love it even more because it's so precious. It's so precious to you. So that's very okay. That's very understandable. What I present, this is a householder lineage. Lahiri Mahashaya was adamant that this was for householders. This Kriya was for this entire lineage, we get that. We know what that is. Oh my God, I had this responsibility. I had to go. I wanted to meditate more. I couldn't because I have this responsibility. We all get that. I mean, I'm all the way back from me to Ashokji to Panchanan Bhattacharya to Lahiri Mahashaya. We all get that. We all understand it and we support it 100%. And that's just going to make the next meditation that much more meaningful, and your heart will be in it even more because you love it that much. And that's beautiful. So I hope you loved this. I hope it made a lot of sense. If it did, be sure to hit that bell down below so I can see all of you.